The bridge of the starship Horizon's Edge hummed with quiet efficiency as Captain Marcus Kane studied the swirling purple storms of Kepler 442c below. The planet looked like a marble of poison and lightning, beautiful but deadly. For 3 months, they had been mapping this sector of unexplored space, cataloging new worlds for the Colonial Authority. This was supposed to be just another routine survey. "Captain, I'm picking up something unusual," called out Lieutenant Jake Morrison from the sensor station. His weathered face showed concern as he adjusted the controls. "Energy readings are off the charts down there. These aren't natural formations." Dr. Zara Voss, the team's lead archaeologist, looked up from her research tablet with interest. Her dark eyes sparkled with curiosity as she moved closer to the main screen. "What kind of energy signatures are we talking about, Lieutenant?" "Structured patterns," Morrison replied, his fingers dancing across the console. "Whatever's down there was built by intelligent beings. The readings suggest massive construction beneath those storm clouds." Captain Kane felt his pulse quicken. In 15 years of deep space exploration, discoveries like this were rare and precious. He had led dozens of survey missions, but finding evidence of civilization always filled him with wonder. "Engineer Petrov, what's our atmospheric analysis looking like?" Nico Petrov, a brilliant young engineer with calloused hands and an analytical mind, pulled up the environmental data. "The surface is hostile, Captain. Toxic atmosphere, radiation levels that would kill an unprotected human in minutes, and those lightning storms never stop. Temperature swings from freezing to boiling. Nothing should be able to survive down there." Kane nodded thoughtfully. The galaxy was full of harsh worlds, but few matched the sheer hostility of Kepler 442c. Yet something had clearly built structures on its surface. "Could be an abandoned alien outpost," he mused aloud. Dr. Voss shook her head as she studied the energy patterns. "These readings, they're too familiar. The power distribution, the structural layouts. This looks like human technology, but that's impossible. No human colony ships ever came this far out." The captain's mind raced through the possibilities. The Colonial Authority kept detailed records of every human settlement attempt. This sector had never been explored by their people, yet the evidence on his screen suggested otherwise. "Take us down through the storm layer," Kane ordered. "Let's get a visual confirmation." The Horizon's Edge descended through the churning clouds, its hull groaning under the pressure of the alien atmosphere. Lightning crackled around them like angry fingers, but the ship's shields held firm. When they finally broke through the bottom of the storm layer, the entire bridge fell silent. Spread across the valley below lay the ruins of a vast city. Towering spires reached toward the storm clouds, their surfaces scarred but unmistakably human in design. Massive domes and connecting bridges created a network of structures that must have once housed thousands of people. The architecture was familiar yet advanced, showing innovations that current human colonies had never achieved. "My God," whispered Dr. Voss. "It's beautiful. Look at how they adapted the buildings to withstand those storms. Those spires aren't just decorative. They're lightning rods channeling the electrical energy into power systems." Engineer Petrov was scanning the readings with amazement. "The structural integrity is incredible. These buildings have been abandoned for decades, maybe centuries, but they're still standing against everything this planet can throw at them." Captain Kane stared at the ruins with a mixture of awe and sadness. Somewhere down there, human beings had lived, worked, and dreamed under the endless storms. They had carved out a home in one of the most hostile environments imaginable. But where had they gone? "Sir," Morrison said quietly, "I'm detecting a faint signal from one of the central structures. It's weak, but it's definitely artificial. Someone or something is still active down there." The captain made his decision. This discovery would change everything they knew about human expansion into the galaxy. Whatever had happened to this lost colony, their story deserved to be told. "Prepare the landing shuttle. We're going down to take a closer look. This forgotten city has been waiting long enough to share its secrets." As the team prepared for their descent, none of them could imagine the incredible tale of courage and sacrifice they were about to uncover. The forgotten city held more than ruins. It held the key to understanding humanity's greatest strength. The shuttle touched down in what had once been the city's main plaza. Captain Kane and his team stepped out into the alien twilight, their environmental suits protecting them from the toxic atmosphere. The air shimmered with electrical energy, and the constant rumble of thunder echoed between the towering structures. Dr. Voss immediately began scanning the nearest building with her equipment. "These construction techniques are incredible," she said through the comm system. "Look at how they integrated the storm drainage directly into the foundation. Every building is designed to work with the environment, not against it." Engineer. Petrov knelt beside a damaged power conduit, his scanner beeping rapidly. "Captain, this technology is at least 50 years ahead of anything we have back home. They found ways to harness the lightning storms for unlimited energy. The entire city ran on natural power from the planet itself." Lieutenant Morrison kept watch while exploring the perimeter, his weapon ready, but relaxed. The city felt empty, but not abandoned in fear. There was a sense of order, as if the inhabitants had left methodically rather than fled in panic. "No signs of battle damage," he reported. "Whatever happened here, it wasn't an attack." The team made their way deeper into the city, following wide boulevards lined with structures that told the story of human adaptation. Gardens had been built inside protective domes, creating pockets of Earth-like environment within the hostile world. Transportation tubes connected different districts, allowing people to move safely during the worst storms. Dr. Voss stopped at a residential complex and activated her portable scanner. "I'm picking up personal items still inside these homes. Furniture, clothing, even children's toys. It's like they just left everything behind." Captain Kane felt a chill that had nothing to do with the planet's harsh weather. "Any indication of what this place was called?" "Here," called Petrov from across the plaza. He was standing before a massive monument made of some kind of storm-resistant metal. Carved into its surface were words in several languages, with English prominently displayed at the top. "New Haven Colony, established 23A7, founded by the brave souls of the generation ship Prometheus. May their spirit of exploration live forever in the stars." Kane calculated quickly in his head. "That's over 200 years ago, but according to our records, the Prometheus was lost in space. They never found a planet to colonize." Dr. Voss was already connecting to the colony's data networks through her equipment. "I'm accessing their information systems. The power grid is still partially functional after all these years. These people were incredible engineers." As the data flowed into her scanner, images began to appear on her screen. Families working together to build their new home. Children playing in the yari. Protected gardens while storms raged outside. Scientists making breakthrough discoveries about energy and construction. The colonists hadn't just survived on this hostile world. They had thrived. "Look at this," Voss said, her voice filled with wonder. "They developed closed-loop ecological systems that could sustain thousands of people indefinitely. They created art, music, and literature inspired by their unique environment. They even established universities and research centers." Morrison discovered something troubling near the city's edge. "Captain, you need to see this. There are defensive structures. Here, weapons platforms and shield generators. They were preparing for something." The team gathered around the military installations, which showed signs of recent use despite the colony's apparent abandonment. The technology was clearly human, but far more advanced than anything in the current colonial authority arsenal. Engineer. Petrov connected his scanner to one of the defense systems. These weapons could have protected the entire planet from orbital assault. The shielding technology alone would revolutionize our defensive capabilities. Captain Kane studied the defensive perimeter with growing concern. Why would a peaceful colony need weapons like this? What were they afraid of? Dr. Voss found the answer in the colony's communication logs. Her face grew pale as she read the translated data. "Captain, according to these records, New Haven wasn't just any colony. They were humanity's first deep space settlement, far beyond known territory. And in their final months, they detected something approaching from the outer darkness." The team stood in silence, processing the implications. This forgotten city had been more than a lost colony. It had been humanity's farthest outpost, a beacon of civilization in the unknown depths of space. But something had driven its people away, something that had required the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. As lightning crackled overhead and the eternal storms continued their dance, Captain Kane realized they had stumbled upon one of humanity's greatest secrets. The question was no longer what had happened to New Haven. It was what the colonists had been trying to protect the rest of humanity from. Deep beneath the city's central spire, Captain Kane and his team discovered the colony's main archive. The massive underground facility had been carved directly into the planet's bedrock, protected from the storms above by layers of advanced shielding. Emergency lighting still flickered along the corridors, powered by the geothermal systems the colonists had built. Dr. Voss connected her equipment to the archive's main terminal, her hands trembling with anticipation. The data storage here is incredible. They preserved everything: personal logs, scientific research, government records, even family photos and videos. It's like a complete snapshot of their civilization. Engineer Petrov marveled at the construction around them. Look at these walls. They reinforced everything with some kind of composite material I've never seen before. This archive was built to survive anything: planetary bombardment, seismic events, even direct hits from those lightning storms above. The first files Dr. Voss accessed showed the daily life of New Haven's citizens, families like the Chen household, who had opened a bakery in the residential district, the Okafor family, whose children attended the colony's advanced schools while their parents worked in the research laboratories, the Nakamura family, artists who created beautiful sculptures inspired by the planet's electrical storms. They lived full, rich lives here, Voss said softly. Look at these celebration videos. Weddings, graduations, festivals celebrating their anniversary of arrival. They weren't just surviving, they were building a true human culture adapted to this world. Lieutenant Morrison found the military records in a secured section of the archive. His expression grew grim as he read through the files. Captain, these defense logs tell a different story. Starting about 18 months before the colony's abandonment, they began detecting massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. Captain Kane joined Morrison at the military terminal. The readings showed a pattern that made his blood run cold. This looks like a fleet formation, multiple large vessels moving in coordinated attack patterns. Dr. Voss accessed the colony leadership's final meetings. The holographic record showed desperate men and women in a circular chamber, debating humanity's greatest crisis. Colony Administrator Maria Santos stood at the center, her weathered face showing the weight of impossible decisions. The void. Hunters are 3 weeks out, Santos said in the recording. Our deep space sensors confirm a battle fleet of unprecedented size. They've already consumed 6 star systems in their path, leaving nothing but dead worlds behind. The team watched in fascination as the colony's greatest minds worked together on their final plan. Chief Scientist David Kim presented research on the approaching enemy. These beings don't negotiate, don't take prisoners, and don't leave survivors. They strip entire planets of resources and move on, based on the debris fields they leave behind. They've been doing this for thousands of years. Military Commander Lisa Torres outlined their defensive options. Our weapons can hold them off for maybe a week, but we're outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Even with our advanced technology, we cannot win a direct confrontation. Engineer Petrov paused the recording. Captain, I'm detecting something else in these files. They weren't just planning to defend the colony, they were working on something much bigger. The next set of files revealed Project Lighthouse, New Haven's most classified program. The colonists had discovered that their unique position in space and their advanced technology made them capable of creating a massive early warning system for all of humanity. Dr. Voss found the personal log of Chief Engineer Robert Hendricks, recorded just days before the colony's evacuation. His voice was steady despite the circumstances. We've completed the quantum transmission array. When the Void Hunters arrive, we'll gather everything we can about their technology, their weaknesses, their plans. Then we'll broadcast that information directly to Earth and every human colony in known space. The terrible genius of their plan became clear. The colonists of New Haven knew they couldn't save themselves. but they could save billions of other humans by providing crucial intelligence about humanity's greatest enemy. Captain Kane found the final recording from Administrator Santos, made in the same archive chamber where they now stood. To whoever finds this record, know that we did not abandon our home in fear. We chose to make our stand here, to learn what we could about these destroyers, and to ensure that humanity would be prepared for their coming. She looked directly into the camera with calm determination. New Haven will fall, but humanity will endure. Our sacrifice today will save countless worlds tomorrow. We are not the end of human expansion into the stars. We are the beginning of humanity's greatest victory. Lieutenant Morrison found the evacuation log showing that most colonists had been sent away on hidden transport ships, carrying the colony's children and essential knowledge to safety. Only a few hundred volunteers had remained to operate Project Lighthouse and gather the intelligence that would save their species. The archive fell silent, except for the distant rumble of storms above. Captain Kane and his team stood surrounded by the digital ghosts of heroes, people who had faced extinction and chosen courage over survival. The forgotten city hadn't been abandoned. It had been transformed into humanity's greatest weapon against the darkness. Dr. Voss accessed the final phase of Project Lighthouse's records, her voice barely above a whisper. Captain, they actually did it. The quantum transmission array worked perfectly. Look at these energy readings from 200 years ago. They sent terabytes of data across the galaxy in real time. The holographic display showed the colony's final hours in devastating detail. The remaining volunteers had positioned themselves throughout the city, operating sensors and communication equipment as the Void Hunter fleet entered the system. Engineer Petrov studied the technical specifications with amazement. Their transmission technology is beyond anything we have now, he said. They managed to send detailed scans of enemy ship designs, weapon capabilities, shield frequencies, even tactical patterns directly to Earth's Colonial Command. This information would have been priceless for military planning. Captain Kane found the personal messages that had been included with the intelligence data, final letters from the volunteers to their families who had been evacuated, words of love and hope sent across impossible distances. Chief Engineer Hendricks had recorded a message for his daughter. By the time you read this, Daddy will be gone, but humanity will be safe. That's worth everything. Lieutenant Morrison discovered something that made his hands shake. Sir, according to these military records, Earth did receive the transmission. The Colonial Authority used New Haven's intelligence to develop the Titan, defense grid, and the Phoenix Fleet protocols. Every human colony's defense system is based on what these people learned. The pieces of history fell into place like a puzzle solving itself. Dr. Voss cross-referenced the dates and realized the profound truth. The Great Defense Expansion of 2591, when humanity suddenly developed advanced military technology and began fortifying every colony. The official records say it was due to research breakthroughs, but it was really because of New Haven's sacrifice. Engineer Petrov found technical blueprints that the colonists had transmitted along with their intelligence reports. They didn't just send information about the enemy, they sent improved designs for human technology, fusion reactors, shield, generators, faster-than-light communication systems. We've been using their innovations for 2 centuries without knowing it. The team moved to the colony's command center, where the final battle had been coordinated. The room was perfectly preserved, with personal belongings still on the desks where the volunteers had left them. Family photos, children's drawings, letters from home, reminders of what they were protecting. Captain Kane activated the main display screen, which still showed the tactical situation from that terrible day. The Void Hunter fleet had been massive, hundreds of ships arranged in perfect formation, approaching like a dark tide. But the colonists had been ready. Look at these sensor logs, Dr. Voss said, pointing to the data streams. They identified 17 different enemy ship classes, mapped their energy signatures, recorded their communication frequencies. They even discovered a weakness in the Void Hunter shield technology. The final recording showed Administrator Santos and her team in their last moments, calmly operating their equipment as enemy ships filled the sky above New Haven. Their voices remained steady and professional, focused on gathering every piece of information that might help humanity survive. Enemy bombardment commencing, Santos had reported. All data transmission arrays are functioning normally. Earth Command, are you receiving our signal? The response had come from across the galaxy. New Haven, this is Earth Command. We are receiving all transmissions clearly. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Lieutenant Morrison found the colony's final message, sent just minutes before the city fell. It wasn't a cry for help or a plea for rescue. It was a promise. To all human colonies, to Earth, to our children among the stars, we have given you the tools to survive what's coming. Use them well. Make our sacrifice count. Keep pushing forward into the unknown because that's what makes us human. Engineer Petrov discovered something remarkable in the final technical logs. Captain, they didn't just gather intelligence. They managed to disable 3 enemy ships using a virus they uploaded to the Void Hunter fleet's communication network. Even in their final moments, they were still fighting. The quantum transmission array had continued operating until the very end, sending humanity's first real victory against the Void Hunters. The disabled enemy ships had been recovered by human forces months later, providing even more valuable technology and intelligence. Dr. Voss found personal logs from the volunteers, recorded in the final hours. Their words spoke of peace, of satisfaction, of knowing that their lives had meaning beyond themselves. Colonial Dr. Patricia Reyes had written, "We came to this harsh world to build a new life for humanity. In the end, we've given humanity itself a future. I can think of no greater purpose." Captain Kane stood in the silent command center, surrounded by the evidence of humanity's greatest heroes. These people had faced the ultimate test and passed it with honor. They had transformed their own destruction into humanity's salvation, turning a moment of defeat into the foundation of future victory. The Forgotten City wasn't just a monument to loss. It was proof of humanity's greatest strength. When faced with impossible odds, humans didn't just fight for survival. They fought for each other, for their children, for generations yet unborn. They turned their final moments into gifts for the future. As storms continued to rage overhead, Captain Kane realized that New Haven's true legacy wasn't the ruins around them, but the thriving human civilization that existed because of their sacrifice. Captain Kane stood on the observation deck of the Horizon's Edge as his team prepared for departure. Below them, New Haven's ruins glowed softly in the eternal lightning of Kepler 442c. But the city no longer looked abandoned to him. It looked peaceful, like a job well done. Dr. Voss had spent their final day downloading the complete archives, ensuring that every story, every voice, every memory of the colonists would be preserved. "I've got everything, Captain. Scientific discoveries, personal journals, family histories, artistic works. The complete record of their civilization. The colonial authority will finally know the truth about humanity's greatest heroes." Engineer Petrov had worked to restore power to the memorial systems throughout the city. Now, holographic displays told the story of New Haven's people, their achievements, and their ultimate sacrifice. Future visitors would understand exactly what had happened here and why it mattered. "The monument is complete, sir," Petrov reported. "I've integrated it with the city's power grid so it will run indefinitely. Every human who comes here will know that this place saved our entire species." Lieutenant Morrison had coordinated with Earth Command to establish New Haven as a protected historical site. No mining, no development, no exploitation, just remembrance and respect. "The colonial authority has agreed to station a permanent memorial fleet here, Captain. These heroes will never be forgotten again." Captain Kane activated the ship's communication system for a final transmission to Earth Command. His voice carried across space to every human colony, every settlement, every outpost where people lived free because of New Haven's sacrifice. "This is Captain Marcus Kane of the Horizon's Edge, reporting the discovery and verification of New Haven Colony on Kepler 442c. After 200 years, we can finally honor the brave souls who saved humanity from extinction. Their sacrifice enabled every defense system we use today, every victory against hostile forces, every safe world where human children play under alien suns. He paused, looking down at the city one final time. The colonists of New Haven didn't just die for us, they lived for us. They built a civilization of beauty and wonder on one of the most hostile worlds ever discovered. They advanced human knowledge by centuries. They showed that no environment is too harsh, no challenge too great for human ingenuity and determination. Dr. Voss added her own words to the transmission. Their legacy isn't just in the technology they gave us or the intelligence that saved us. It's in the proof that humans will sacrifice everything for each other, that we think beyond ourselves, to protect future generations. New Haven Colony represents the best of what it means to be human. As the horizon's edge lifted away from the storm-racked planet, Kane's team watched the city recede into the clouds. But they weren't leaving with sadness. They were leaving with inspiration. The story of New Haven would be told throughout human space, inspiring new generations of explorers, scientists, and heroes. 3 months later, Captain Kane stood before the Colonial Assembly on Earth, delivering his full report. The chamber was packed with representatives from every human world, all listening in awed silence as he told the complete story of the forgotten city. Today, we dedicate the New Haven Memorial Archive, Kane concluded. Every child in human space will learn about these heroes. Every explorer will carry their courage into the unknown. Every colony will remember that we are part of something greater than ourselves. The Assembly voted unanimously to establish the New Haven Foundation, dedicated to supporting deep space exploration and colony development. Schools throughout human territory began teaching the story of the colonists who turned their final hours into humanity's greatest gift. Dr. Voss became the Foundation's chief historian, ensuring that the voices of New Haven's people would echo through the centuries. Engineer Petrov led the effort to implement their advanced technologies in new colonies, making harsh worlds more livable for future generations. Lieutenant Morrison joined the Memorial Guard, protecting the sacred site where heroes had made their stand. Years passed and New Haven became a pilgrimage destination for humans from across the galaxy. Families would travel to stand in the ruins and remember that they lived free, because others had chosen to sacrifice everything. Young people would look up at the storm-filled sky and understand that courage meant more than personal survival. The Void Hunters never returned to threaten humanity. Some said they had moved on to easier prey. Others believed that New Haven's intelligence had taught humanity to defend itself so well that the aliens had learned to avoid human space entirely. But most people understood the deeper truth. The colonists hadn't just defeated an enemy, they had forged humanity into something stronger. Captain Kane returned to New Haven many times over the years, each visit renewing his faith in human potential. On his final visit as an old man with silver hair and eyes still bright with wonder, he stood in the Memorial Plaza and spoke to the storm-wrapped city. "Thank you," he said simply, "for showing us who we can be when we choose to be our best selves." The lightning answered with thunder, and in that eternal storm, the spirit of New Haven lived on. The forgotten city had been found, its story told, its heroes honored. But most importantly, its legacy continued in every human who reached for the stars with courage, knowing that no sacrifice was too great when it meant protecting the future of their species. New Haven Colony was no longer forgotten. It had become eternal, a bright flame of hope burning in the darkness between the stars, reminding humanity that their greatest strength lay not in their technology or their weapons, but in their willingness to give everything for each other. The story was complete. The heroes were home.